Hello everybody, my name is Mr. Jangoon and today we're going to be doing another thing on the Paradox Grand Strategy series. So right now we're going to go and find out which game is for you. So so this will mostly have many charts. We're going to be ranking them by the features they're going to have. Then I'll give you my recommendation. It's just my opinion. If you're more interested in an economic game, then take the one that you like. But if you want to go down a path that's easier to learn, since many of these games they're more complex than each other in many different ways, the simplest game would be the best way to go down if you want to start learning simple. So let's start with the ranking. Right now, by complexity, we can rank Crusader Kings 2 quite low. It has many diplomatic features, things like royal marriages and all, same thing that EU4 has, but the difference is that Crusader Kings 2 has many things like succession and all, while Europa Universalis 4 has all that stuff, but not everything is slightly more condensed, and the succession isn't as complex, but the place where Europa Universalis 4 shines is colonialism and the New World. So depending on how many DLCs you have, it'll probably go above 12 or something on this chart. I only have two of them. I think it's Conquest of Paradise and it was called El Dorado. While Crusader Kings 2, the DLCs don't actually add features. They mostly that's the thing. That's the problem with Crusader Kings 2. It has too many DLCs and many features are locked behind DLC. With the base game, you're only allowed to play as a Catholic nation. Like not Catholic, just a Christian thing. You can play as Orthodox. You can also play Zoroastrians, but you'll need the DLCs, the Rajas of India, to play an Indian religion. You'll need Sword of Islam to play a Muslim nation, and Sons of Abraham to play a Jewish nation. Then for Norse nations, you'll need Old Gods. You can also play pagans with Old Gods. Now, and if you have Old Gods, you can also go back to the, I think it's 858 star date. Then there's another one called Charlemagne, which is like somewhere in the 600s. I don't have that one, but it's just a new start date with Charlemagne's empire before it collapsed. But I think it's supposed to be like the rise of it. I'm not sure about that. Then we have Victoria 2. Now this one, it's quite different from all the other games. It's similar to EU4 in many ways, but diplomatically and militarily it's quite low. It just has a basic system. But where the reason it's quite high is because of its economic system. It's quite complex. It simulates a global economy with trade and everything. Hard to Find 4 only simulates basic trade, and it's not that complex. It's mostly about war. There's no peacetime things you can do. It's quite so mainly unless you're gonna declare war all the time, it'll be quite simple. But the wars, that's where it's more complicated with sending air divisions everywhere, helping out in civil wars like the Spanish Civil War. Now by learning curve. So Crusader Kings 2 has a very long one. The thing is, Crusader Kings 2, even though it doesn't have as much stuff as EU4, it takes more time to learn it because the stuff that is in there is more complex. While Europa Universalis 4, even though it has lots of things to learn, it doesn't take as much time. It's quite basic. It's basically like if you commit like genocide in some peasant village or something, obviously they're gonna be angry. While Crusader Kings 2 has lots of weird stuff. Victoria 2 doesn't really have that. It's like they give you choices. You're like it'll give you like there's be like a measles outbreak somewhere. You can either decide like quarantine them or let it break out and kill everyone. And you get many choices in Victoria 2. Some people even call it a pop-up simulator. Then Hoi4 has a slightly larger learning curve, since even though it's not complex, the war strategies, even if you just send a battle plan, probably the best battle plan you've ever seen, you'll still have to micromanage your troops. You'll still have to send air divisions everywhere. You'll have to maintain like naval supremacy so that you don't get navally invaded. So that's where Hoi4 is more complex. Economic gameplay, Victoria 2 just destroys all the other ones. Hoi4 barely even has an economy. The only reason it's higher than Crusader Kings 2 is because it's still more functioning than Crusader Kings 2, where you just have money. Hoi4 doesn't even have money, but it simulates it in a very weird and different way. Europa Universalis 4 is almost the same as Crusader Kings 2, but it has basic trade functions, different trade zones where countries can have more power in those areas. In Crusader Kings 2, you get gold, spend gold, nothing much. Military gameplay, as I've mentioned many times in even the previous video, Hoi4 is a good military simulator. Victoria 2, not as much. Crusader Kings 2 isn't as good. It has morale and a number of troops. That's all that really matters. Victoria 2, however, has like other stuff like equipment and all. Even though that's mainly why Hoi4 is meant to be simulating the equipment and all. Victoria 2 does have a basic simulation of it, but unlike Hoi4, it simulates it in just as well as how it simulates consumer goods. Then Europa Universalis 4 is slightly more complex. It has more morale features, more terrain types, differences with the same type of terrain in different areas, rivers that can change everything, forests, all that. Hoi4 is battle plans, everything same as it's like almost as good as all three of them combined with a little more on top. Now diplomatic gameplay. This chart's messed up, I know. What on earth? I don't know why. Crusader Kings 2 has quite a few diplomatic options, like wars, then holy wars, like crusades and jihads and everything. Europa Universalis 4 has like a similar thing, but it's more condensed. Like Ck2 has royal marriages, you'll make an heir, and then the heir is gonna will probably have like both thrones and stuff. But Europa Universalis 4, in terms of royal marriages, in some parts of it is more complex, some parts of it is much simpler to get like a personal union on another nation. Victoria 2 is a bit lacking in it, since they don't really have much stuff like alliances, opinions, that relations, wars. That's all that they really have. If you have a puppet, then you can demand their troops. But this is like extremely basic, and I'm not a big fan of it. While Hoi4, it's a little better. It has non-aggression packs, sending volunteers, helping out in wars, like without actually getting completely involved. Political gameplay though, Victoria 2 is much better, since it simulates populations in every single province separately, different states. It has different every person has different ideologies. Everyone's different in a way. Then Europa Universalis 4, like people are unhappy, they'll revolt. People are very unhappy, they'll have a revolution. Same kind of stuff. Crusader Kings 2 though has a little more in terms of that. It has like People might want to plot against you if they have a low opinion of you. They might declare like a civil war kind of thing. Maybe they'll revolt an independence league, like that. Hoi4 is slightly better than EU4, since even though it doesn't have things like revolutions, revolts, or anything, basically, they don't really have much in terms of people hating you, but they'll have ideologies. People can stage coups in your nation and cause you to have a civil war. So you'll still have to keep that down. So my recommendation for beginners Hoi4 is, as I mentioned, it's not very complex. It has good features and it'll set you down a good path for Paradox Gaming. Then Victoria 2 would be good for people who have basic strategic knowledge. I used to play Age of Empires 3 and everything before I got into Victoria 2. And it was quite simple since I was already a bit into strategy at that time. It wasn't that simple since I had literally no idea what would get like a coalition. I played as Persia once. I did absolutely nothing. At least I thought I did absolutely nothing, and then everyone hated me and declared war on me. So that's one thing to look out for. Then people have quite some knowledge. Maybe if you played two of them, or if you've already played two of them, then Europa Universalis 4 or Crusader Kings 2 would be good for you. So that's it for today, guys. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe.